maintaining a successful marriage for 35 years is difficult under any circumstances, but when you do it and the spotlight is on you in public, it's even special. I'm David Spatz. We're on location at Merv Griffin's Resorts. It's two special people, Lawrence and Eydie Gorme, join me. And welcome back to Merv Griffin's Resorts, where two very special people join us. Lawrence and Eydie Gorme, who have a track record in this hotel because, for better or worse, 15 years ago, almost 16.
That's right. Eydie and I literally opened gaming in New Jersey, in Atlantic City.
You threw the first dice.
I threw the first dice
You
out.
threw out the first drunk.
I threw the first dice out here. That was 1978. And if there's a Guinness Book for gamblers, I have to be in it.
I would think so. You threw, and in fact, they reenacted the roll of the dice on the boardwalk with
the 15th anniversary when Eydie and I were back here.
And you didn't throw a 5. That was what you threw in '78, right?
I threw a 5, and I think this time I threw a 10. The second time. So next time, there's no 15 on 2 dice. So, but we'll have to wait for the next anniversary. You're looking well, David.
I try.
You succeeded.
Oh, this guy is a real flatterer. What can I say?
Oh, wow.
All right. I opened the show, I teased the show at the top by saying maintaining a successful marriage is difficult. Was it 35 years for you two?
35.
35 years. Under any circumstances, it's not an easy task. But to do it when you're in the spotlight, it's got to be very, very brutal, isn't it?
Well,
yes.
I guess it could be, but in our case, it has worked for us. I mean, I know a lot of people who don't work together all the time as much. Marriage, as you say. People live together. In our case, we live together, work together, do everything together. And you would think that there should be some separation, but in our case, it works for us. I mean, Eydie and I sometimes, when we're in the same room, sometimes we'll be both involved in things that we're individually doing and not see each other for half a day.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, which brings up the subject of Vic Damone and Diane Carroll. And I don't mean to compare them to you because they haven't been together anywhere near as long as you have.
They haven't been together for 2 albums.
Right, they can't, right. Not even 1 album. Right. They can't work together. We had Vic on the show a few weeks ago, and he flat out said it. My ego took a beating when we started working together. I can't work with her.
I think he made an interesting point. I don't think Eydie and I, although we do have egos, everybody has
one. It's not a bad word.
As a performer, I think you probably have to have one to exist. But I don't think it has ever got in the way of our personal relationship, or even our professional relationship.
I don't have an ego.
Well, we all do.
We all do. It's
My
okay.
ego is yours. I don't know.
Oh, so we share an ego.
We share an ego.
You
Along with
live
an
through
IQ.
each other or what?
Huh?
No, we share an ego and an IQ. So that's probably why it
No,
works.
I have an ego. I mean, who doesn't?
We all
have
do.
It? Yeah, I mean, but it's not a part of what Steve and I do. First
We've
of all,
never been competitive in that sense.
not in that sense. And when we're on the stage, we're actors, number one.
Right.
So whatever else goes on in your life, when you hit the stage, you're not really doing your life. You're playing a part.
Mm-hmm.
And
but the audience thinks that they're getting a glimpse into your life.
David, one of the best shows that Eydie and I ever did.
That's true. That's true. They think they're getting a glimpse,
in a
which
sense
shows
they
you
are.
how great we really are.
In a sense they are. In a sense they are, because a lot of what happens is freewheeling, as you know and seen us many times. Even though we will do approximately similar things, we'll reword it and rephrase it just so we can find new things. Like tonight there were a couple of new things that I never heard that we talked about or
Were there really?
said. Yeah.
I mean, there was some new stuff that I saw in the patter.
Well, of course, if there's something that we read in the paper or something that happened, that politically happened, or something that, was...
the Bobbitt trial.
Yeah, whatever it is.
We can say it.
Of course, that was perfect for us.
Yeah.
Oh, the Bobbitt thing was perfect material for the act. I mean, for an entire week, some of the most prominent newscasters in America were just looking into the TV camera and very dignified and saying the word penis because they could, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I think we've gone too far.
Oh, please.
Well,
could that coming from you?
Well, I just don't think that
yeah.
should be the lead item on a newscast.
That's true.
Surely
there is more in the world
than looking for this little thing.
We just can't figure out how they found it on the road. Well, they did say that. They
did. Well,
they found it on the road. How do they know it was his?
I was just going to say, how did they know?
It wasn't. That was one of the problems.
Oh, wasn't it?
Well, I like your line.
He now sings in harmony by himself.
Won't stand up in court. Is this okay? This is a cable. We can get away with that.
Well, okay.
You said you're not competitive in the sense that when you're on stage together, you're not competitive. Are there any other areas of the business where you are competitive? I mean, you've each recorded separately.
I don't think
It's
we've
not a
ever been.
competition.
Right.
I think if
try-
anything, we're our each
I
other's.
try and do my best. He tries and
I think we're
to
our
do
best
his
critics.
best, and sometimes it
which-
works, sometimes it doesn't
Which
work.
one of the two
you know.
is the best? I'm asking you.
Me.
Okay.
No question. No question. I think.
Nah,
All right.
it all depends. I mean, I will hear songs on the radio, rarely, but I will hear songs on the radio that I made, years ago. And when we all started recording, you were talking about Victor Mo,
Right.
Elvis Frank, all of it. It's not how they record today. You went to a studio, you did 4 sides in 3 hours, and if it didn't work out, they put it out anyway. I mean, that was it. There was no going back. There was no tape. You did it from the beginning. When it ended, it ended. And there are some things that I thought were really, really good till you hear them now. And you know how they record now, and you know that you could have gone back and changed this and changed
like
that.
another shot at
You
it,
would have
yeah.
loved to have another shot at it,
Well, the way Sinatra did the duets album, I mean,
Yeah.
Gloria Estefan and Liza Minnelli literally phoned.
Well, the
their parts
technology
in.
today is extraordinary. I mean, they did it on
Absolutely
Across
great.
Atlantic with Charles
Aznavour
Aznavour.
was on the phone.
Incredible.
They use a synclavier or something. I don't know, some weird
That sounds like an interesting instrument anyway.
It is an interesting instrument.
Sounds like something that should have used on Bobbin. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Clavier on Bobbin.
Steve, this question kind of has its roots in a joke you tell toward the end of your show. You talk about Dean Martin. Whenever Dean Martin sees you in a restaurant in Beverly Hills, he always calls you Steve and Eydie. So I suppose the question is, what is a Steve and Eydie?
Stephen Eydie is a Stephen Eydie.
It's an institution, I guess. I don't know. And you should never live in one. But the thing is, he does. That's to him. That's.
But to him, it sounds like you are inseparable.
Well, in a sense, I guess maybe to him and maybe some other people, we are synonymous. I mean, we represent a lot of things to a lot of different people, and I think Eydie and I were probably the first ones in recent show business history to use first names.
First name,
because we
yeah.
became so. Steve and Eydie became, just so synonymous. Then after that, they were, everybody was using
Also-
Sonny and Cher and
also,
Frank
Steve and Eydie is bigger on the marquee than Steve Lawrence and Eydie Gorme. It's too many letters, So Steve and Eydie, get a great big Steve and Eydie. It's
How come
good
it was
billing.
never Eydie and Steve?
Never Eydie and Steve. Never, never.
Why?
Well,
It just never.
It just sounded.
well, it's
I mean,
always-
Well,
it's
it's
always
Mr. and Mrs. It was George and Gracie. It was this.
Right.
I don't know. Just
I don't think we ever even discussed it.
No.
It just,
we never had like a
it-
talk about it or anything. It was Steve and Eydie, and
sounds right.
it sounds right. And
kind of rolls off the.
it rolls
tongue,
off
right?
the tongue, yeah. And
But it doesn't matter how the paycheck is written, as long as the name's the same.
I don't know. I never see the.
You never
page
see it?
straight. No,
You don't show her the check.
no.
No, I tell her about it.
Tells me about it.
What a
The
guy.
check came in. I said, good.
Now, each of you have had your separate recording careers, and you have made albums together. You did a run of albums in the 60s, but what about now? What about today? Any plans to record together now? And I know it's difficult.
It is,
Oh, boy.
and we're
It really
trying.
is.
We're trying to get some new product out on the two of us. It's very difficult, as you know, today for artists like ourselves on records. Unless you ship platinum and gold out the door, they don't have anything to do with it. So it's become difficult for major manufacturers and companies. They just won't record us. So we are doing it on our own, and we're trying to get that distribution. And if we don't, we'll just put it out
And the
on
thing that
ourselves.
Frank just did, just brilliant.
Maybe that'll
brilliant.
maybe that'll spur some interest.
And we're doing
We're doing his
a
next
cut
album.
on the next.
That was my
yeah.
next question. He's
Yeah.
doing duets too. What are you going to do with him?
We haven't decided yet. He hasn't decided yet. Whatever.
hasn't-
But we're not going to be
decides.
separate. We're going to be Steve and Eydie.
Yeah, we're going to be
And-
Stephen Eydie and
and
Frank. And
Are you
Fred.
going to do it in the studio together?
Yes, we will.
I think- yeah, I
we
think-
probably
I think
will.
That'll be a first for
With
that
him.
for that type
Well,
of
we
I
album.
think it would be good
We
because, well, we all know each other and we're all friendly, and I think some of that hopefully can rub off.
On him.
And have, no, I think maybe you'll feel that presence on records.
All right, a few years ago, you spent a year on the road touring with Frank Sinatra as part of his Diamond Jubilee, his 75th anniversary. What was that like for you? I mean, you had been a headliners for so many years, and then all of a sudden you're back to being, I mean, I know you were co-headliner, but you were back to being an opening act.
When you grow up, as we both did, under the musical influence and in the shadows of those who come before us, like Sinatra, Ella Fitzgerald, and all those wonderful artists, to get to the point where you are friends, and really good friends.
We
and,
had
and
a
It was, I mean, just sometimes, you forget,
really
and
did.
then it dawns on it's Frank Sinatra. And although we've known him 30 years, and it's only gotten better, but that trip that we spent a year with him, like flying 18 hours on a plane to Australia, you talk about so many different things. And he was talking not only about his early days with the bands and all, because we've read about that and everybody's, heard about it and all, but when he was a kid, he was a stockbroker, a stock runner. For a farm.
He was only
Right.
He was a runner. Him and his friend Tamburi. Hearing stories like that were just delicious.
And also the beauty of the performance was that we opened the show, and Frank did his, but then at the end of the
closed them
show,
together.
we did a major thing together, so that was fabulous. I mean, just fabulous. And the places that we went, I mean,
But were there places that you hadn't played?
oh,
yeah.
in your
absolutely.
careers? Oh, really?
I never
Okay.
played in
Norway.
Oslo, in Malmo, in Ireland, in certain places in Germany, Australia. We had played Japan, but not for a while. And it was
The irony.
outstanding,
It's so,
really excellent.
It's so incredible to see that Frank Sinatra, anywhere in the world is Frank Sinatra, the reaction he gets in Norway is the same reaction he gets in Atlantic City or Chicago or in Frankfurt.
Even though he's singing in a language that might be totally
They
foreign.
Oh, we're in
his
Milan, we're in Rome, we're playing at the ruins in wherever the
Pompeii.
ruins, Pompeii. I mean, you can't
Well, they
believe
weren't
it.
ruins till he got
and
there.
he didn't sing any Italian. Yeah, right. He got there ruined. But it was, I mean, in places we'd come off the plane and just in limousines, we'd be coming down the street to get to the arena. And people were hanging out the
Lining the streets
windows,
like he
throwing
was,
flowers outside of their apartment windows. You can't believe it.
You can't believe the
I mean,
adulation.
it's
It must have cost him a
Deservedly
fortune
so,
to
by
pay
the
all
way.
those people to do
No,
that.
I did, I guess.
He's adored the world over with good cause because he's the only performer I can think of now. Is it 6 decades going into 6 decades?
7. He's recorded in 7.
Well, and in all those
30s
decades,
and 90s.
he is remained constant, true to what he always has done. His music, people grew up with children, grandchildren are growing up with his music.
It's unreal.
And,
And
it's
it's-
a great
it's-
influence on all of us who came after
I was
him.
going to say, it's influenced you to the point where you, depending on what night people catch your show, you could close your show with a Frank Sinatra medley. And I lost count one night. I tried to count how many pieces of songs were in that medley. How many Sinatra
35?
songs?
38.
In the Sinatra.
I lost count in the low
Because
30s.
he
I
said
know
to
that.
you, he
Yeah.
said to you once, he said,
Yeah, he
how
said
many
to me,
you
"How
do?"
many songs are
He
in there?
said 38. He says, better you than me.
Yeah, he said better you do that.
Okay, this is Tiffany Crystal, and right over here, that's one of the first chips out of the chute at Resorts, 15 years ago, and the inscription says to our dear friend Merv,
I don't want to call you cheap or anything.
No.
But that says $1.
yes. Well, you got the first buck you ever made.
Does this have anything to do with inflation?
It might, yes. Anyway, it says, this chip was the start of something big, and you have made it even bigger.
And it's my coconuts.
Right, you're not on the road all year. You pick and choose when you want to go out because that's one of the luxuries of being in your position. But what's a typical day like at home for you guys?
We mean when we're home.
When
in
you're
one
when you're
place.
home, not
We think
Well,
about
when you're
going on the road.
We think about what we're going to take out next. We're constantly looking for new songs.
Did you hear what Judy? I just got to stop you. Judy Tannen, who has been your manager for 4.5 million decades, just said it's the truth. They want to
Oh,
know
it
when
is
they're
the
going
truth.
back
That-
out.
we
I didn't mean to
travel-
put you on the
You know what
spot,
happens,
Judy.
David?
We travel with 15 people.
You know what happens?
All the logistics of the trip coming up have got to be made. All the
And-
transportation, the hotels.
And over the years, I
thing.
found
mean,
that Sinatra is also like that.
Same.
When we're working, it's hard because the physical traveling is very difficult. The shows are wonderful, the audiences are terrific, the music is lovely, but the physical traveling and setting up house wherever you go, moving that many people. Frank is the same way, and he gets home, and after 3 days, he says, "Oh boy, I gotta get out of here." So we're all guilty of that. You know, we travel a great deal, but when we're home, you miss the road because
You
that's
really
a
miss
great
the
part
road
of your
after
life.
all these years.
Yeah, you do. But
Well,
when we are
because
home
that's
for
what
any
you do.
length of time, you look for new music, new thoughts, new things to do, whether it's television, new music, material, records, or whatever.
A few years ago, you were into collecting stamps.
Yeah,
You still do it? You still do it? You're still doing it?
My wife is a philatelist, and I won't let too
Yeah.
many people say that about her.
That's okay. That's a word
I
we can say on
enjoy it a
television.
lot.
You
She
do.
takes
I
a
do.
licking and keeps on thinking.
That goes back to a joke. Flatulence is it's a good word. What are some of your hobbies, Steve?
I play a little golf, very little.
Very
little.
You used to be into boating. I know that, but
little tennis.
you gave up the boat?
No, I just not into it
we
anymore.
don't have-
Yes,
yes.
it
You gave up-
was
you
a
gave
long
up the
time
vote.
ago. But I guess golf and
Now he
tennis.
just has the jacket.
Yeah,
both of you
you look
Yeah,
like the
he
boat.
just has-
Well, I remember
Jack-
watching you guys rehearse before the first show here at Resorts in '78. And Steve, you came on stage looking like a Commodore at a yacht.
Well, he had
Yes.
his Chris Craft
His Chris Craft jacket.
and his Chris Craft hat and his thing, yeah.
Yeah,
Now
people
he-
kept saying, "Where's Steve Lawrence?" Well, he's
He's over there.
the
Now he
captain
just
there.
has the jacket. Nobody knows you haven't got the boat.
That's a cheap way of pretending to own a
Hey,
boat.
sure,
No, at the
showbiz.
time, my friend was president of that company, so.
Oh.
We had a lot of jackets.
Getting back to music for a minute, over the past few years, we've really lost a real treasure trove of some of America's finest songwriters. And I'm talking about Irving Berlin and Sammy Kahn just recently, and some of the people who arrange your music, Don Costa, Nelson Riddle, all of them. Who is coming along to take their places?
There's some good young orchestrators coming around, but the key question is, what are they orchestrating? And the writers are not there. They may be, but they're having a difficult time surfacing because there's very little they can write for. Years ago, when all those great American classic songwriters were composing, they were writing for Broadway, for television, for films, for so many different outlets that they had. Now it's strictly records. It's a
Also,
very
there's
narrow
no
channel.
variety on television. If we went to do Jay Leno's show, or if we went to do Letterman's show, what would we do? He's
There's
got
no
one
orchestra.
How
guy
could you
playing
do
a
it, right?
synthesizer and a drum and a kazoo. I mean, how on earth could you even go on a show like that and bring your arrangements, your charts?
It's
Who
a
would
different,
play it?
it's a different
it's
time,
crazy.
a different business.
So it's difficult now for you guys to get some visibility in that
On television, yes.
in
Not
that
just
market.
us,
Yeah.
anybody.
Anyone from your
All our colleagues, people like us, all our friends and musical cohorts. are
So
having
what's
great
going to change
difficulty.
that? Is there anything that can change that?
Doesn't
Or
look
do you
like-
guys have to create your own channel?
I think, well, I don't know.
Well,
maybe
Craig-
when they get to the point when they have 500 channels, maybe they'll have
The
two
big
or three
music
that'll be
channels or
just
something.
yeah, like they do in certain towns. We have good music stations, so maybe that'll be something like that on television at some point. I don't know.
I don't know. It's,
Maybe.
I really couldn't say because
I know that there are enough people out there that do like the kind of music that we like to listen to as well as do, which is evident by the people who come to see us, not only here in Atlantic City, but at concerts all over the country. They're there. We have to, all of us, find that little key how to reach them, and so far as television and
true.
records are concerned. It'll happen. There's a way. Just gotta
What
hang
is-
around long enough.
Where's your favorite place to work? Is it the studio? Is it the live stage? For you, Steve, is it acting?
I don't mean to dodge the question, but I love them all, and that's what really keeps me interested as a performer. I love working in a nightclub and a supper club and theaters. I love doing television. Recording is wonderful. That's a
recording
great
is
end of the
really
business.
great. It's,
And
it's wonderful.
I like doing the acting thing because that's different. It's a departure for me. So doing all of it really keeps me very interested. And I like that.
You did a lot of guest spots on Murder, She Wrote, and just about every one of those drama series that
Yeah.
came
Yeah.
along in the
Police
60s.
Story.
Police Story. But you didn't do that many, though, did you?
No.
She
Why?
can't get up that early.
9 o'clock comes twice a day, right?
Ladies, they get a 5 o'clock in the morning
No,
call.
it's 5 o'clock.
Edie got a couple of calls to do some film on some show. So the guy says, "Oh, Mrs. Gorme, we'd love to have you do this part of such and such and such and such." So Edie says, "Well, send me the script." So she says, "Very good." She says, "Well, the makeup would be 5 o'clock." She says, "Hello? What? 5 o'clock when? In the afternoons? No, 5 o'clock in the morning." She says, "No,
No, I don't think so.
You like to sleep in then?
Well,
I
you
get
know,
to
they
bed
have
late.
English. In England, they don't do that.
Oh,
They-
really?
They have English hours, starts at 11 or 12 o'clock.
So some of your best work on film is only
Will be in
It's yet
English.
to
Right,
come.
it's
It's yet to come, and when it does
It'll
come,
be abroad. That'll be my best work. Will be abroad.
on that note, we'll leave it alone. Stephen Eydie, thank you so much.
David, lovely
Stephen
to
Eydie,
see
see, I'm
you,
sounding
and
like
lovely
Dean
to talk
Martin.
to you, and always nice. To
It's
see you.
always fun.
Always a joy
Beautiful.
to see you. Thank
Take care. Continued success.
Yeah. Here he goes. Make the face and throw the 5.
Okay, here it goes.
Oh.
10. He doubled it in 15 years old. What, are you going to do it again? Are you gonna...
Do it again. Try it again. One more time. Come on. Hey, Merv.
Okay. Here we go.
Okay.
The 5.
The 5, the big 5.
Oh, gee. Did you get up early?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. Wait.
Oh.
Ah!
But
Today we symbolically threw out a big set of dice, and oddly enough, it came out 10. So it was twice as good as 15 years ago. But it's wonderful to see what has happened to this town, all the jobs that have been created, the good that the revenue that gaming has generated for Atlantic City. It's done a tremendous amount of good for the city.
And from an entertainment perspective, what changed?
From an entertainment perspective, it's wonderful. It has supplied work for so many of my colleagues and myself and Eydie and old friends of ours, comedians, singers, all kinds of performers, jugglers and dancers, etc.
Will we see you out here in another 15 years?
I hope so.